Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Rats on Film, the show where a bunch of film rats talk about and rank movies. Today on the show, it's all part of the grift. We're doing a little head-to-head, a little double episode talking about the collaboration between Paul Newman and Robert Redford. I have with me today Spencer.
Hello!
Buck.
Sorry I was late. I was just taking a crap.
That's part of the grift. In case
And
you
I'm your
didn't
host,
know.
Xander. Welcome to the show, everybody. Dude, everything on this whole show so far has been part of the grift. It's been all leading to this. You guys didn't know there's clues all throughout.
Just a couple of sleaze balls.
I love both of these movies. Spencer, I want to start with you with this because you introduced me to both of these films.
Yeah, which is crazy.
What are you trying to say?
Well, no, it's just like, I feel like you were always like the movie guy. And then like every once in a while, I would be like, have you seen this movie? And you were like, yeah, I watched that like a decade ago. And I'd be like, okay, cool. And so there's the one time where it was like, Xander was like, oh, what's your favorite movie? And I don't remember when this was, but I was like, oh, this thing. He's like, oh, never seen it. It's like, it's showing your music friend your favorite song and like they've never even heard of the band, like it was like this, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. And not only that, after he watched it, he liked it. So I felt justified.
Good feeling.
In knowing that it's like my favorite movie. Because nothing's worse than like showing your friend your favorite song and they'd be like, yeah, it was all right.
It happens more often than you think, but not with The Sting.
Not with this thing. Because how could you not like it?
Yeah, we've been friends for a long time now, and you always had the poster up in your room.
Yeah.
At some point, you were just like, we got to watch it. And
right.
I will forever associate, honestly, both of these movies, but definitely that one more so with you.
Yeah.
But we watched both of them together. I'd never seen either of them. And you opened my eyes to the beauty of the pairing of Redford and Newman.
It's just such a fun movie. Both of them are. And I think I looked it up this morning because I kind of forgot, but it is genuinely the only two movies that the two of them are in, like together.
I was reading about it a little bit, like they were supposed to do a third one. It had been talked about a lot and it just never happened.
Right.
Just for whatever reason, they never found the right project to do it again.
Buck, what's your history with these movies?
It's my history. My history is I had the albums for both of them before I saw the movies.
Really?
And yeah, and they both have the best music. I don't know which one's better. I probably listened to the Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, the Burt Bacharach score more. Basically, we were at a Goodwill. My dad, we would go through records when I was a kid. Somebody was selling both Butch Cassidy and The Sting right next to each other. And my dad's like, oh, we got to get these two records. And we played them constantly. I probably didn't watch the movie for like a year after that. Watched Butch Cassidy first, loved it, was so depressed at the end that I did not want to watch The Sting. But then the Sting, I was telling you, the Sting trailer has the best tagline ever, which is maybe this time they'll make it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, oh, I got to watch it. And I distinctly remember watching The Sting and being like, oh, I want to write a movie now. The Sting just has this quality to it that is so exciting. It
Right.
moves so fast. And it's like my memories of both of those movies as a kid was that I don't remember anything else from either the 60s or the 70s feeling the way those movies feel. They're very timeless, but they're paced very well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I do feel like they are really timeless. But also at the same time, like I walked away watching both of them again, being like, man, they don't make them like they used to, which is maybe annoying, like old person nostalgia talk, but like there's just something about them. They just
don't care anymore.
They have such a charm and such a quality, like top to bottom, both of them.
And it's just like every single piece, every character in every scene has something going on. Like there's not like there's not filler, or there's not a scene where there's not something going on in the background in both of the movies. And it's pushing the music and the editing and all of it just to the max. They're both almost paintings of movies.
Yeah. I like that.
I think that's a good transition too. We can get into Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from 1969. Do you want to do a little summary? You guys are my
Spencer
two big summary guys.
Listen, I did the summaries before on the, and Xander got upset because I took too long. So I can, but
I do it to Buck is the same. You two are the same.
I'm gonna try. If I do Butch Cassidy, then Buck, you have to do this thing.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, follows the group of bandits who do train robberies, and one of the robberies goes awry, and the two protagonists, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, are on the run. Half of the movie kind of follows their sort of running away from the law, and then it comes to this culmination at the end where it just like, you never run, kid, it's always gonna come catch you. This isn't anyone talking. This is just me. This isn't a line in the movie, but it just follows the story of these two guys coming to terms with the reality and the changing of the times and escape, basically. I don't know if that was good or not.
No,
I think that's
spot
perfect. But yeah.
Sweet.
So to transition off of what you were saying, Bucko, where I want to start with this, I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this film, but you said painting a picture.
Yeah.
I was so struck watching it again of just how visually stunning this movie is.
You could just walk right into it. And I think it's a combination of the visuals, the performances, the cinematography, the costuming, and the music. You feel like you could smell the movie, even though you're not in it.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like people throw around the word tone a lot, but it's like a different word. It's like a dedication to creating, not to sound Gen Z, like an aura. Like both of these movies have like a fucking aura that's just coming off of them, where it's like you could walk into any of the scenes and be happy, like immediately, and you trust that the movie knows what's going on and you're there for the ride because every detail is thought out, from like the one bank teller you meet to just the people chasing them at the end. You just get a little bit of something from each character that you feel like they're all real.
I feel like the movie does, or at least the George Rohill does a really good job of, in this one specifically, working with candlelight and a lot of shadows on faces. Like it's the intro of the movie starts with that.
Yes,
the really cool sort of like sepia tone. Rewatching it, I was like, I almost forgot. Like, is this whole movie in sepia? I don't remember. There's a lot that was kind of told in just like the shadows of faces, like when he's like first scouting out that bank, and like the windows and doors are closing, and like this realization, it's just like we're modern now. Like you can't rob us, and he has to like adapt.
Dude, Spencer, I 100% agree with you. I think that the contrast on them is so important to the storytelling, and that like sepia tone sequence being like this transition to the modern times, but also sort of this like, these are real historical people, right? You know, the movie has that line at the beginning, like most of what follows is true, right? It's based on a true story. And I feel like the sepia tone sequence and the way that is shot and constructed when you get introduced to them is building like the legend of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid for you, and the way that you as the audience think about these people, that, oh my God, they're like the baddest outlaws that ever were. They robbed so many banks, and it adds to this like mystique and being intimate with their faces, and the close-ups that you have of Sundance at the card table, and sort of the menacing nature of him, and then the lighthearted contrast of Butch. I think something about that visual choice is so smart.
Yeah, he plays the shadows like incredibly well, and it's like throughout the whole film, even when it goes out of the sepia tone.
You said something interesting in that, Spencer. You talked about the sequence where the modern bank, because I felt like when I was watching it this time, I was very struck always by the old time in New York sequence that's just photographs. And I feel like there's this interesting conversation about, not technology is the wrong word, but changing. They do the sepia tone, they end in the sepia tone, and it's basically like these two characters are stuck in sepia. And I kind of didn't think about it with the modern bank, but do you think there's something like a conversation about time?
I don't know for sure, but it feels like the intention is that, you're right, it's not technology, but it's more of like a culture shift, like culture. The society's moving on. We're finding ways, like this way of life is not sustainable. And I like, this is a through line throughout the whole movie. Like there's many characters where they're just like, listen, this is it, you guys. Like you guys are gonna die. Like you can't live like this anymore. Like there's so many characters that like basically say those words in different ways. And I read a take, and I don't know if this, maybe I'm jumping too ahead, but
do it.
I read somewhere that someone was saying that like this movie was a sort of love letter to Western movies in general, but also a commentary on how like they're like Western movies need to move on. Like this isn't like from a filmmaking perspective, right? This is like in the later half of the popularity of Western films, and this movie was sort of like that transition of like, hey, like we're not going to be making Western films much anymore. Like, we have to move on, like, as a sort of like, meta commentary, which, if that's the intention, I think it does it really well, and it has a slightly different meaning overall. Not to change the other like ulterior meanings of this movie, but it just like adds
No, I
another
think
layer
that's
to
spot
it.
on.
No, it's interesting because talking about the genre of this, like being a Western. You two both really like Westerns. I'm not a big Western guy.
Yeah.
This movie really speaks to me in a way that a lot of other Westerns that I've seen don't. And I wonder if there's something to that, Spencer, of being like, hey, we got to move on. And again, to give George Roy Hill some more credit, I feel like you use the word tone and use the word aura here, Buck. I feel like tonally this movie is quite different than Westerns. I feel like Westerns can almost be described as melodramatic, at least the ones that I've seen, right?
I would say at least the ones to this point. I think Butch Cassidy, to Spencer's thing, is doing something very new. You had spaghetti Westerns, but you didn't quite really get the revisionist Westerns till after this, till the 70s. Like Fistful of Dynamite, Buck and the Preacher, Heaven's Gate. Like, you don't get those till after this. This was a pop culture phenomenon in a way that not the spaghetti Westerns weren't, but this is Burt Bacharach, Paul Newman, Robert Redford.
Spaghetti Westerns are an interesting comparison because I do think they are a bit more, they do take themselves a little bit less seriously, but a lot of the characters in them, at least the ones that I've seen, like, the man with no name, right? Clint Eastwood's character is very serious. Compare that to Butch or Sundance in this movie. And they're like really well-rounded people. They're serious and scary, and they're criminals, but also one of them is afraid to jump off a cliff because he can't swim. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's such an interesting balance happening with the characters here that I feel like the quote unquote stereotypical Western cowboy trope doesn't often do that. Again, at least in the films that I've seen. I'm not super well watched in Westerns, but the couple of John Waynes I've seen, High Noon, the couple of Man with No Names, like, they don't feel like this to me.
I think this film also does something that a lot of at least spaghetti Westerns aren't able to accomplish, in that Paul Newman and Robert Redford's characters, it's like very clear that they've known each other for a long time and they play off each other's personalities like really well. I feel like a lot of Westerns, like spaghetti Westerns and characters that you meet, are very sort of like one-dimensional and one-sided. Like, they may be in a gang or a posse together, but it's like they very much fit all these specific roles. And like, this feels like two brothers that are just like trying to MacGyver their way out of a situation, and you can feel they have a way of talking to each other that conveys a lot more depth than I think like most Westerns are known for.
I 100% agree.
Well, I feel like Butch Cassidy's like, we're going to have a conversation with Westerns, but we're going to have modern pop music in it. We're going to have several music montages. We're going to do some wild editing, but we're going to give you characters who can't stick around with us.
Yeah.
So I think what George Roy Hill captured and what Spencer said so well is it's just like, it's a love letter while encouraging people to engage in this old material in a new way to move forward. It's kind of breathtaking.
Well, yeah, to your point, the modern music and stuff like that. The anachronism in the movie, I think it is maybe subconscious at times, maybe not. And we're talking about time being a big theme in this. And I think you said it, Spencer, already. Like, I had in my notes two guys who are running out of time, right? The plot of this movie is interesting because it's very loose. There's hardly a plot,
right?
In your summary of it, Spencer, right? Basically, they introduce you to the characters, and then they're on the run the rest of the movie, and that's basically what the movie is,
right?
But that like impending doom that's kind of coming, but that's being contrasted with stuff that's out of time, with their camaraderie, with their not taking everything super seriously, with like them having a laugh as friends. I feel like those themes really, it makes the movie so compelling, but also has this like underlying sense of dread of just like the march of time.
Yeah, it must be interesting being a first time watcher for this movie, because like, it's at face value, it's much easier for me to recommend someone watch this thing over Butch Cassidy. Not that like,
sure,
I'm choosing one or the other at this moment, but I think Butch Cassidy, it's not like you got to be clever, man. Like, you basically have to get to the end of the movie for you to be like, oh shit, right?
Yeah.
And some people, I feel like you could be showing some people the movie, and like halfway through, they're just like, what are we doing? What is going on?
Yeah, raindrops are falling on my head
Right.
while he rides a bicycle. Like what?
Apparently that's an original song for this movie. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Burt Bacharach wrote it for this movie.
It's
It's an original song for this movie that Robert Redford apparently hated and didn't want in the movie, and then retroactively went, "I made a mistake. I was wrong." It's a ballsy movie, man. Can we talk? Can we talk about the two of them now? The performances. I mean, that's what this episode is about.
Yeah.
I think the scene that I love the most to like, there's a ton of great scenes of their performances and their camaraderie and stuff, but the scene that I really love is when they get back to the Hole in the Wall gang.
Yeah.
And Butch gets challenged by one of the other gang members. The little exchanges that the two of them have together in that sequence and the way that Butch Cassidy handles that scene, I just like, I don't even know how I could imagine anybody but Paul Newman and Robert Redford doing it. The little love to look up and smile at the other guy when he says, "If I'm dead, kill him." It's perfect. It's just so perfect.
Can we talk about how blue his eyes are when it turns the color? Because my God.
Yes.
Oh my God. Paul, stop. They're crazy. They exude charisma. The two of them together, they're just incredible.
You know what's great too is like when it starts, Sundance is pretty stoic, pretty quiet and reserved, and Butch is kind of this like fast talking, I'm the brains, I'm gonna talk my way out of any situation, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's challenged this fight. He tricks him. Oh, there's no rules. Okay, I'll kick you in the nuts. I love that bit so much.
Well, no rules, 3, 2, 1, go.
So good. As the movie progresses and as you spend more time with them, you realize how comfortable they are with each other. It's like Sundance is only like that when he's with Butch.
Right.
And the scene of them on the cliff bickering about if they're going to jump off or are they going to follow the horse or not. And it's like, oh, but you'll think of something. Like the rapport that the two of them have together, the charisma, the interplay between them. It's so legendary for a reason.
I also think that scene, going back to the first introduction when they challenged us to a fight, like, I don't know if I could think of like a better of like sequence to introduce like how these characters are and are going to be throughout the rest of the movie, right? Like honestly, like my first time watching it, I was like with the gang. I was like, well, Butch seems like a loser. I don't know if I want to follow this guy. But like after kicking him in the nuts, I was like, he's pretty smart. You know what? I'll give him a shot. Like now I'm convinced. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Do you think these two guys ever, because I'm always taken by the last scene where they're talking. Butch says, I almost thought we weren't going to make it or something like that.
Yes.
Where these guys do you think that they know they're going to die and they're just continuing their shtick till the end as a comfort to each other? Or do you think there's a part of them that just either always assumed they were going to die or always assumed they were going to get out of it? Because even when they have to jump off the cliff, I'm like, I wonder if these guys think this is the end. Like there's so many moments in the movie where it could be the end.
I feel like I have this feeling like their characters, their interpretations of like their way of living is almost like a constant, like almost like a force of nature. They represent like stubbornness and like unwilling to change.
Yeah.
And like, I think there are probably totally layers of them being like, I mean, we really know what's going on, but they constantly show throughout the whole movie them just choosing to like prolong and run. And I don't know very many films that have this sort of like very distinct commentary or message about like fate, like inevitable fate. You know, like that's basically the premise of the movie, right? And like,
yeah, sure.
I don't like it's so specific in like how this is portrayed, and it's like clearly you watch the movie and you're like, all right, and then you get to the end, you're like, oh my God, like these guys never accepted it, and like it always became a thing, and it just like you could always never. I don't know any other film that tackles it quite like this.
Well, I remember when we watched it together, Spencer. You know, I talked about this. You introduced me to both these movies. I remember when the movie ended, you were doing the thing that
you look over, you're like,
when you show someone something. Yes.
Yeah.
Where you're like half watching the movie, half watching the reaction of the person you're showing it to. And when the end happens, I remember you looking at me being like, oh,
yeah.
Me just going, holy shit. And you being like, yeah, this movie's kind of weird because it's basically just like fuck around for fun until the end. And then you go, oh my God.
Right.
And I think that is really true. Like it completely recontextualizes the whole movie. And that line you brought up, Buck, I think is a huge part of that, is for a second there, I didn't think we were going to make it.
Yeah.
It's also interesting they don't actually show them die. I mean, we know what happens. Like, we see the army get set up and aim. We hear the gunfire, but they actually don't show it in the movie. And I think that's intentional too. I think that's part of the choice there.
It's genius.
Is the slight little nugget of like
what
did
if
they make it though?
Yeah.
Did they make it though? I mean, we know they didn't. We know they died in real life.
I like to think they made it out of this and they're fine. I know that's not true, but I distinctly remember watching this for the first time being like, because I watched it when I had to be like 12. I think this was like a bleak ending for me to watch as a kid because
Sure.
I think in going back to what Spencer was saying about fate, I think there are movies about fate, but I don't think there are movies that quite make you sit in it so strong. This movie is like, hey, these guys are bandits and they're eventually going to get caught up with, even as fun as even as much fun it is. It's like you can't have fun forever. And then that's just kind of it. There's no like, oh, here's where they could have pivoted differently. I actually think what's interesting in the movie is I always feel like I think it's Butch Cassidy who's like, we could go straight after this.
Yes.
And I'm like, is that the moment they die? Is it like a mental thing?
To the point about the fate from Spencer and to what you're saying, Buck, they basically try everything, right? They split, you can go through the movie and like essentially what the plot beats come down to is just everything they try to do to get away and keep their lives, right? They split the posse up. They send one horse the wrong direction. They go through the water. They jump off a cliff.
And they go to South America and have the threesome that they rob banks with, like their throuple of robbing banks.
We'll get to Etta because I think she's a great character. Etta. They try and join the army. They try and go straight, and it never works. Like Spencer said, it just catches up to them. Like they're on borrowed time basically from the start of the movie.
I also think something they do, which is like really cool, is that they never quite show you the faces of like the white half sheriff or like the like Native American tracker. It's like they give names and backstories to these like things that are chasing them, but without like really making it like up close and personal. Like there's even that one scene where it's like they see the hat at like the bar or something, but like that's all you see. And they're like, oh God. It almost feels like this is like a force of nature. Like this is unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like we're not like this whole movie is just like, it's just like, what are you gonna do? Like you can't stop it.
I mean, who are those guys?
Right? Yeah. Every scene is just like, I can't do that. Could you do that? And like, I can't do that. Like
yeah. All right, let's talk about Etta because you brought up their little trio of bandits in South America. What an interesting character. I'm really curious to hear what you guys make of this because every time I watch it, I think a little bit differently about what I think is going on there. It's Sundance's girl,
right?
But there's definitely something going on with her and Butch. But also, it's not even a secret, and I feel like maybe it's a testament to their friendship of just maybe Butch does feel something towards Etta and he's just never going to act on it. And Sundance trusts Butch and knows he's not going to do it. But there's always like that unspoken thing that everybody just knows is there.
I just think they're all hooking up. I mean, I kind of didn't even like, I can't help but feel like in the raindrop sequence, Paul Newman and Etta don't hook up at some point.
On the bike?
That would be difficult.
He crashed.
It's on a bike.
He crashed a couple times.
But I will say, I think the soundtrack cue is On a Bicycle Built for Joy. So I just always interpreted it as there's something going on, but they're all too close to let it deter them.
No, I think I'm with you. I kind of my take was that like all three of them are just like very emotionally mature and like it feels like they're just like they're content with whatever situation they have going on. My take was always that like it seemed like Sundance and Etta like had like a more like physical thing, and then Butch was more of the like emotional connection for her. You know, like she doesn't turn to Sundance to like talk about how shitty she's feeling or anything, right? I think she often like relies on Butch to like have those conversations, and maybe it's a commentary on how they both fill separate roles for like a relationship in general. On first watch, like when you're first trying to like figure it out, you're kind of like, is there going to be some tension going on later? And there never is. Like they're always the three of them are always just kind of like doing their thing and like making it work. And like the more it goes on, the more you realize that like they're happy.
I love her line, "I won't watch you die."
Yeah.
Talking again about the fate. She calls it out early in the movie. Like she knows it's going to happen. and she's like, I'm along for this ride, but I check out before that bit happens.
Yeah.
And she does.
I liked what you said when you said like this movie makes you sit in it, because it with the freeze frame at the end, it very much is like for me, it was like that feeling of like this was always inevitable. They had 1,000 warnings and like 20 characters that told them so, and like all of these reasons, like they could find ways to track them in like the untrackable places, and like still it's no matter what you do. And that is different than the sort of like more frequent story beat of like having fate, but then like dealing with the consequences after, and the story continues on. Like this, like the story ends right there, and then you're just like, damn. Which I don't know about you guys. I would put this one of the best endings in a film I've ever seen.
It's really hard to do. I think it's very challenging to do an ambiguous ending or an indirect ending that feels satisfying to the story, because the end of the movie is really them deciding to run out again.
Yeah.
Right.
Not what happens to them. It's them deciding to go out guns blazing.
Well, yeah. And to your point too, Buck, like before, they have a whole plan of what they're going to do next, right? We're going to go to Australia, blah, 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 blah. Like, and then they go, okay, great, let's go.
And I kind of always took it as, if it doesn't catch them this time, like say they run outside,
sure,
they shoot a barrel or they knock down whatever scaffolding half of these guys are on. Like, listen, there's no easy way for them to get out. But if you really wanted to believe that, I would believe they're going to go to Australia and then be in the same situation in 6 months.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that is a very satisfying ending. I think what's so interesting though is it seems this movie is culturally important, but like it didn't get great reviews when it came out, and I didn't know that till researching for this podcast.
Oh, I thought it got nominated for a lot of awards. I didn't know it had negative press.
It did, but like Siskel and Ebert hated it.
Yeah,
and they like
the critics hated it when it first came out, and audiences really responded to it, and so it was like a delayed positive reaction.
But I think also what we were talking about earlier is there wasn't really a movie ever made like this before. You had psychedelic shit. You had like weird montages and trippy stuff, but this was like old school filmmaking meeting the sort of editing that they were doing in psychedelic movies with a pop star soundtrack. I mean, there was like no one bigger in the US than Burt Bacharach, I feel like, at that time in terms of writing pop songs.
Yeah, I mean, like I showed my wife this movie the first time a few months ago, and I wanted to do that dumb thing where you talk too much about it, and but it's like, well, no, I don't want to ruin it. Like that's like just watch Going Blind. But I feel like I had this urge, and I could have been wrong for it, but I had this urge to be like, look, this is probably not what you expect it to be. Like I don't know if you're gonna enjoy it or not, but it's like, it's fun. I had this feeling. It was probably the same way I was like when I was looking at Xander, where I was like, is this gonna hit it all? Are we gonna get at the end? And she's gonna be like, nah, dude, that sucked. I'm never gonna see that again. What was the point? And I don't think people are necessarily wrong for feeling that way.
Yeah, it is kind of a strange movie, honestly. It's a weird movie to try and explain to somebody. I think most movies are better going in blind, but
I almost like don't want to call it like a Western.
Yeah, because it's really not like a traditional one. Right.
You know, a lot of the element, like the beats that you would normally expect, are just like, it subverts your expectations a lot.
Spencer, I think you were spot on right off the get-go of this, talking about it as a commentary with old Westerns. I think it is a Western, and I feel like it has some of these things of like, it refuses to do the third act thing that a John Ford or an Anthony Mann or a Howard Hawks would do, where the character makes a decision to change and we get this climax and then we get the results of the climax. And then at the end, they're like, well, this is what this story meant. Like, if you're a coward or if you don't stand up, this is what's going to happen. Or if you let your town get overrun by criminals, this is what's going to happen. Or if the whole town doesn't stand up, then, you know, a woman's going to have to stay. It's like, it's all this like social commentary, right? And about how much power I feel like the individual has. It's that very American thing. And this is the inverse. This is like, these guys might not have any power no matter what they do at this point in their story. Yeah.
But God, are they fun to follow along with?
Dude, they're great characters, man. And it's the movie is stubborn like them. They won't change. The movie won't change. To me, that's the strength of Newman and Redford here, is in these different situations that you find them in throughout the movie, you know, constantly basically backs up against the wall on the run. Sometimes they're stressed. Sometimes they're nonchalant. Sometimes they're making jokes. Sometimes they're screaming and yelling at each other. They are who they are. They are friends with each other. They have a rapport with each other, but they're not one note at all. And I think it's really, really well done from both of them.
Can we talk about that scene real fast where Butch admits to Sundance that he's never killed anyone before?
Yes.
It's the best.
And then Sundance gives him this look, which is like, how have we gotten to this point? What are you talking about?
Dude, yes. Like, to me, that's so interesting, right?
Yeah.
These two guys that you're with, you're like, man, they've known each other for forever. They're aren't they a pair? And then you're dropping this huge piece of information. The guy goes, you fucking what, when?
What are you talking about?
It's an interesting watch, this film, to watch these guys who are criminals. They're robbing trains, they're robbing banks, you know, they're doing bad things. But for the most part in the movie, they're pretty nonviolent. They're pretty nice, affable people, right? Isn't that the word that the sheriff says? Butch, you're the most affable guy I've ever met.
Yeah, yeah. It ties himself
you know
up.
What I mean? Like
and puts his own handcuffs on.
Yeah. Like it's an interesting watch for that reason, because you kind of get sucked into being like, man, I like these guys. To your point, Spencer, you know, from the very introduction of them, right, when they get back to the game, you're kind of like, I like this Butch guy. He's pretty smart. He's pretty good.
I just want to talk about the score one more time.
Go on.
I think this score is amazing. Raindrops, Bicycles Built for Joy, Old Fun City, and then just the Not Going Home Anymore theme, which then they reprise at the end. And I think that's what I think it's interesting that that's what Burt Bacharach calls this early theme that's played pretty early in the movie and then coming back at the end. It's just what they're doing the whole time. This score lives rent free in my head. The themes from this.
It's so weird. I love it so much. It has a beautiful energy to it. It's really unique. It really is distinct, and it sticks out in my brain. And kind of the way I feel about the whole movie, I feel about the score, where, oh my God, it's just fun to live in it. It's just fun to live in this world. It's fun to be in the moment, like be in this mode.
Yeah. I think Burt Bacharach like makes you just want to like have a good day. And
yes.
And every song placement most of the song placements throughout this movie is like reinforcing that idea that like these are just guys that you can hang out with, and we're all just having a good time. And maybe some of the actions they take are like against the law. But you're constantly rooting for them. You're constantly rooting for these guys, and the score like conveys that. It's just like, yeah, these are your friends. Like, you want to go have a beer with them, you can, and we'll just all we'll ride a bike around the town, and it's fun.
I'm with you, Spencer. It's one of the best movie endings of all time.
Top 5 for sure.
And then what's number 1?
I don't know. No, from endings, I don't know.
Hold on, we're about to get there. Let's see. We'll see.
Well, I think it's a better ending than. I mean, you talk about character deaths. I would take this over Logan or No Time to Die any day of the week of seeing like heroes die. Like, I think this is how you kill off a classical hero.
Yeah.
I think if you live, I think Butch Cassidy and Sundance would not want to live in the melodrama of their own deaths.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Mean, they're like a flash in a pan, or, you know, like they're in it and they're out.
Blaze of glory. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll start on the top of the list for now. Next up on the list, The Sting, 1973. Buck, you're in charge of the synopsis for this one.
Well, The Sting is also about two criminals, or I guess con men. The story starts by putting us in this world of Chicago in the Great Depression, where pretty much everyone's running a grift, whether you're the mob or just somebody on the street. And we find Robert Redford, and he's pulling a grift on somebody, but he pulled a grift on the wrong person. He pulled a grift on Robert Shaw Flanagan, this huge Irish gangster. And that gangster doesn't want to be made a fool. So he goes after Redford's crew and kills Redford's mentor. And so Redford's inspired. He wants to fuck this guy up. So he goes to Redford's mentor's old friend, played by Paul Newman. And the two of them unite together to run the big con to take down this guy as best as they can. But it's going to be tough.
Nice. Even the ending, it's got to be tough. Like, it's like a movie title. Like,
maybe
trailer.
they'll make it.
Maybe they'll make it. Maybe this time they'll make it.
Great.
Since we did the plot summary, I want to start with something that I think is brilliant about this film. You kind of teased this earlier, Buck, where you said that the script is perfect on this movie.
Not a dead moment.
What I think is incredible is the premise, so to speak, is so simple. It's just a revenge plot, right? It's just this guy killed my friend / mentor. I want to ruin his life. That's it. All the complexity, all of the intricacy, all of the windy, brilliantly crafted journey that it takes you on is all in the nuance of the grift and the characters and everything. And it's not about the motivations or the plot. That stuff is the most basic it could possibly be. But it doesn't need to be anything more than that to give you this just incredible caper movie.
If we're talking about like the script and like the simple plot, I think my favorite thing about this movie overall is I find that it respects the audience, and like in a way that I feel like a lot of movies like don't. This movie, like, it doesn't really try to hold your hand, but it also like it knows that you're there and following along and having a good time. It doesn't need to wait around for you because like it already knows that you've been caught up. Because it keeps it going so quickly and it introduces so many characters and all these different angles. Like there's even like little scene transitions, which are super fun. I love this in the movie, but I don't feel like my hand is ever being held. And I'm always respected as a viewer. And I feel like I don't often get that feeling with a lot of movies.
Your hand's not being held, but at the same point, they're so respectful of the audience. There's the whole beat right after Redford gets found, after he's thrown away his money. He's walking home with the third guy in their con in the beginning. And the crooked cop and the crooked detective find him and steal his money. And Redford gives him counterfeit $2,000. Mm-hmm. And so, Redford just bought himself like 5 minutes. And what he does is he sprints to the pharmacy, rips a woman out of the phone booth, and then calls to see if James Earl Jones' dad is still alive. And what's so good about that scene is it's tense, and you see what Redford's character is willing to do for his friend. But you also get, like, you see that the first thing he does is doesn't save his own skin. He goes to save his friend's skin, which is so important for the end of the movie, because the whole movie is guiding you to think that he's going to betray his friend. But how could that person who in the beginning, the movie told you already, he, even in the face of death with a ticking clock, he's going to check on his friend. And then also in that scene, you have this old woman they rip out, and she's telling you, hey, I want my nickel back. So you know how desperate every single character in this world is.
It's a great little scene to pick apart, Buck. I think that's a really, really good observation.
Yeah. God, Buck's incredible.
What you're speaking about, Buck, too, I think is part of what one of the other things I love the most about this movie is the world building in it, right? It's a period piece. There's a little bit of anachronism going on again because Scott Joplin ragtime doesn't really exist then, but I think it works amazingly. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it's so good.
The sets, the costumes, the way that every character is presenting themselves, it builds a world so flawlessly for me that I just get so lost in each little individual scene that sometimes don't feel like they're necessarily important or connected. But then again, talking about the script, like the brilliance of it, everything comes back together. Everything is just immaculately constructed from like top to bottom on this film.
I also feel like there's a scene early on, like it ties into what you guys are talking about, which they could have done entirely differently. But there's that scene where Hooker is going to go pick up his, I can't remember her name, but the lady friend at the start, like take her out. Mm-hmm. He shows up to go pick her up to take her out. And they add so much like life and character in this one little scene of them just trying to like leave the building to go on a date. Like there's this, like she's coming off the stage and she's like almost like she's like upset. She's like, wow, why'd you cue me in like that? And like and argues with like the guy pulling the levers and stuff, and then like convinces her to leave. And they linger on the new guy who is like this older dude who's like doing stand-up comedy on the stage.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you brought him up. I'm so glad you brought this guy up.
Like
continue.
Like it was like they could have cut like right after they're like, we're leaving. And like they could have cut right then and there, but they lingered on this guy. And which Buck is probably going to tell me like, this is actually like a really famous guy who's like an incredible comedian who at the time. But I just felt like that was
almost
this guy also sort of encapsulates like a great sort of timepiece and like world building. But like it was great, and like they could have done the movie without it, but because they chose to include it, it was like it just felt more real, like you were there in the audience.
The textual stuff that George Roy Hill does is really great in this film.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. That character is played by a comedian named Leonard Barr, and that is his shtick. So he would show up on Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis's variety show, and then throughout the 60s and 70s, he would make like TV appearances and film appearances as himself. They're creating this anachronistic world, but it's sleazy, and it gives you and it feels old. The same thing the way Joplin isn't perfect, the same way that Norman Rockwell isn't perfect. It's just this constant barrage of old timey stuff. And you even get it with like Newman's hideout in the carnival or at the merry-go-round.
All right, let's get into our praising of Newman and Redford here, because goddamn, man.
Once again, right back for that. Can we talk about really fast?
Grace for a reason.
How I think we both recognize that these are two incredible actors, but the difference in character between these two characters and the two they portrayed in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Spencer, yes. I got this in my notes, written basically exactly like that, 100%.
They do each of those characters so well, and like they're so distinct. Like Butch Cassidy was this sort of charismatic, fast talker, and in The Sting, he's like this more like kind of laid back, more stoic, but like kind of clever. Yeah, I feel like embodies a different sort of like mentor and leader, like than Butch was. And Robert Redford, I would not have looked at Hooker and thought that, man, this guy was going to pull a 6-shooter at me at any point. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Starting with Newman, to your point about like the contrast between Butch Cassidy and this, I feel like the easy things that I pulled out when I was trying to think of words to describe Gondorf in this was kind of like cool, calm, collected, right? He's clever. He's been around the block. He knows what's up. But I feel like what's a really important part of his character that I think is quite difficult to portray, that I think is nailed by Newman, is that he's also cautious. There's this air of like, he knows what's at stake. He knows how tough this job is because he's been there. And I feel like that in his performance really helps build the character and like the mythos of like, this guy was a great grifter. This guy has things to teach you, has things to teach Hooker. And he got jammed up. He's been kind of out of the game. And Hooker comes in, he's eager, he's like rough around the edges, he's pretty bold, he's like, let's do it. He's like all gung-ho, he's all in. And Gondorf is like, slow your roll, dude. Let me show you how the pros do it. And watching him in the scene playing cards, I am just like, what a fucking master. He doesn't have a lot to do in this movie, Newman. It's a pretty minor role for him, honestly, for how big of a star he was in compared to Butch Cassidy in the last one.
It is Redford's movie. It's really his story.
But goddamn, that scene, he steals the show, man.
We can't cut to the poker scene yet. I need to hear Buck's take on the performances first.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have a big take on the poker scene.
Go ahead, Buck.
Well, I just love how we meet Newman, how he's like passed out. And it's kind of funny because Newman always has that shtick. It's how you meet Harper in a way. Harper is like, have you ever seen that detective movie? But you meet Newman, he's passed out. He don't even think he's in the room. He's off. He fell off the bed, completely drunk. And then Redford has to wake him up by throwing him into the shower until he sobers up, which is exactly how Anya had to wake me up on Sunday.
Dude, you were preparing. You were in character.
I was like in character. There was something I thought I had, which I never had before watching this movie on rewatch this time, where they're telling us that Redford is this young, inexperienced guy. Mm-hmm. And I was always curious watching it. I was like, I wonder if they meant to cast someone much younger, because Redford is definitely younger than Newman. Like, I wonder if in the writing, if it was ever considered that this would be like a kid, like a proper kid. But Redford is able... It's that trick of like the cocky lead character. It's like, how do you convey inexperience and cockiness in a way with being warm? And then how do you have a mentor figure who can call them out on it, but call them out in a way that also calls out the audience? It's just a testament to how good Redford and Newman are are at making full-fledged characters. Like and I just go to the first merry-go-round scene where he's setting up the merry-go-round for the day. And Newman's basically telling him, this is a terrible idea, but we're going to do it. And then he just gets on the merry-go-round and starts going around with the camera. There's just something beautiful about their work.
Do you know what I think is spot on about that as well, Buck? Is specifically Redford in this film for me. There's an element of mastery of your performance serving the story. We alluded to this already, right? Part of the big conceit is what you described in the beginning of, we've got this guy who's all in on protecting his friends. But at a certain point in the movie, it's all part of the grift, by the way, if you've not seen it. I mean, spoilers. Don't listen to this if you haven't seen the movie. Go watch it. If you know, you know. But we're led to believe at a certain point in the movie that he's actually doing a lot of the wrong things, right? He's lying about being tailed. He's not telling them about certain things. And then he's gonna turn him over to the FBI, whatever. This is a little bit meta, but like, Redford's performance needs to sell that so that I can have the experience watching the movie that I had, which is, oh my God, I did not see that coming when the movie ends. And he nails it.
But it's so good because on rewatch, you have 20 minutes of him doing what he's going to do. And I'm going to pivot to the train poker scene. Mm-hmm. The thing, because you just brought up the twist ending, and then we could talk about the poker sequence.
Don't skip to the end, Xander.
Sorry. Yeah. I feel like part of what is great about Redford's performance here is obviously embodying the character and the well-roundedness of that, but also how well he services this movie being such a twisty movie.
Right.
It's like, why is the quote unquote twist in The Sting so satisfying that the FBI was in on it? And it's even this thing of like, I don't even think The Sting really comes up as like a twist ending sort of movie if you like search it. And it hit me when I was rewatching today. I'm like, why does this feel like it makes sense, even though it pulls the rug out from under you? And it is in the filmmaking and the editing in the poker scene. You see Newman with his cards. You see he has 4 threes. And then they show you Robert Shaw's cards. And you see he has 4 tens or 4 nines. I forget.
Big fan.
4 nines. 4 nines. Just cut it. And the EC has 4 nines. I watched this recently. I know what I'm talking about. But you know he's going to lose the hand. The movie is telling you he is going to lose the hand. Mm-hmm. It's the camera and the editing being like, yeah, Newman's about to lose. And then Shaw puts down his cards and Newman puts down his cards. And now Newman has 4 jacks. And so it's the movie teaching you in like the second grift that it's going to lie to you. And I'm like, that's why it works, because the movie tells you in the first 40 minutes that it's going to lie to you. And once you know that, then you can accept everything else that happens in the movie. And I feel like there's so many other twist movies that fail to recognize that. They don't build the surprise into the form.
It feels like the movie almost, it's just like training you. It's letting you in on it. Like you're part of the team as well. And I feel like I love that aspect. Like the audience is also part of the grift the entire time. And even when they pull the grift on you, you have this feeling of like, God, these guys, like,
yes, it's like one big magic trick, right? The movie is like sleight of hand. It's like, look over here while we do something over here. To your point about the way that they use editing,
yes,
and the filmmaking to tell the story. Film is such a subjective medium. They get to they're making all of these decisions very deliberately, where they're putting the camera, what pieces of dialogue you see. You see hands in gloves, you see cards on the table, whatever it is. They're forcing you to see what they want you to see so that they can pull the rug out from under you when you're not looking in the right spot. And it's really masterfully done.
This might be a deep pull, but like it reminds me of like, if you ever see like Penn and Teller do magic tricks, like they do a lot, do lots of magic tricks where it's like where they do the cup and balls trick, but they're clear cups and they explain the trick as they're doing it. That's one of the things Penn and Teller does a lot is they'll show you the trick, explain exactly how it's going to happen. And you're still surprised.
You still get tricked.
And you're still like, by the end of the trick, you're just like, God, I'm still mesmerized. Like you said verbatim exactly what was going to happen. And I'm still enthralled. And this movie feels very similar to that. It's like, I'm in on the team. They're explaining everything that's going on. And then it's like, you see the clear cup and the ball inside, and then they lift the cup up and you're still like, damn, that was crazy.
Well, it's such a good point, Spencer, because you shouldn't be surprised that they were grifting.
Right.
You know what they are. They're planning everything. You're like, okay, yeah, they're going to get him with the wire, whatever. But I just remember, again, I went into this movie basically completely blind, watched it with you for the first time ever, and just had my mind blown. And, we've been saying it a lot in this episode. We've been saying it's all part of the grift. Spencer, you said that to me. That was your words to me when the movie ended and they both got shot and they stood up. You looked at me and you went, it's all part of the grift. We have said that to each other basically every time we've spoken for the last, I don't know when we watched this together, maybe like 2012, 2011.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's not a quote from the movie. Like that's how much I say it,
right.
But it's just you saying it's all part of the grift. And I'm like, yeah, why didn't I know that? Because it's so perfectly done. Like you're saying about Penn and Teller. It's a perfect magic trick.
You feel like a family like the whole time. And I think it also like plays into like how as an audience member you feel respected watching this movie, because like George Roy Hill's like constantly trying to be like, you guys are here for it, but it's also going to be magical. Like, we're all going to have a good time. You know what I'm saying?
Spencer, you said you want to talk about the poker scene?
Well, honestly, I don't know much more I could add than what Buck already described. Like, I agree. I think the only thing I was going to add was that like you highlighted as well, Xander, that like Paul Newman did such a good job, but like as an audience member, I think his character that he played when he comes in drunk, that was like my first realization that was like, oh shit, this guy's a professional. And this is how it happens. Like, this is how the sting starts. Because I think leading up to that point, it was all conversation about like, this is what we're gonna do.
Yes.
This is like they're sitting around the table planning it out. Like, we're gonna do the wire. And then someone's like, well, I don't know the wire. What's the ponies? And it's like, as an audience member, you're trying to follow along and be like, I'm not sure I know what the ponies are either, right? So, but when he comes in and does his bit as the sort of drunkard, and like really like fucking sets the hook, is like my first realization was like, oh damn, like he's got it on, and this is gonna work.
Do you know what I love? Do you know what my favorite part of the whole scene is? When he says 4 jacks and he says it in his regular voice, right? He's been doing the drunk voice the whole time, and he just goes 4 jacks.
Yeah.
Just to twist the knife, because Gondorf knows that Lonigan knows that he was cheating, because he knows that Lonigan was cheating, so he can't call him out.
Yeah.
So just that little bit of douchebaggery of, I'm not even drunk either, idiot. Gotcha.
What an incredible social like handcuff to put him in.
And but again, the layers too, like they pick off, they steal his wallet so that he can embarrass him of like, you can't even pay me. Like the layers of the plan. It's so good. Can I say something else that I thought about watching it again this time that I think is hilarious? We talked, I brought it up right in the beginning that what this movie is ultimately a revenge movie. What's the amount of money they get from him? It's like $500,000 at the end, right? Yeah. $500,000. There are so many people involved.
I thought about this too.
They build this fake place. They're buying train tickets.
Yeah.
They're fronting all this money to do all this stuff. They bought 2 different office buildings so they could watch him from across the street.
What are the cuts?
The take must be so low per person.
Yeah.
But they're all in it for
just the
right
love
reason,
of the game, baby.
The love of the game, dude. The love of the game. And I love that when I think about that in this movie. And it's true at the end where Hooker doesn't even take his shirt. He goes, just blow it anyway. And they walk off into the sunset, presumably to do some more grifts.
Do you guys remember that scene where they're setting everything up and they're first renting out the building from that guy? He's like reading off the list. And then he's like, what do you want? Do you want flat rate or percentage? And they're like, who's the mark? And then he's like, Doyle Lonigan. And I love he's like, flat rate. Walks out.
I love that scene too, dude.
It's so good.
He's like, don't involve me in having some of his money.
But he stayed with it. Yeah. Like there was like that moment where he's just like, oh, he's out. But he's like, just give me the money now and we won't talk about it.
Yep.
It's kind of amazing because it's just like every scene tells you what they're trying to accomplish. It is stupid.
Yes.
It does a great job with your expectations across the board. It sets you up to be like, they're never going to pull this off. They're never going to pull this off. So when they do, you go, It makes it incredibly sad. It's one of the most satisfying movie endings of all time.
You want to know what else is stupid? Some of these fucking names. I wrote some of them down. We got Horseface Lee. We got Limehouse Chappie.
Limehouse Chappie.
Got Dookie and Twist.
Twist I liked.
Twist is a good name, but I specifically wrote down Horseface Lee and Limehouse Chappie.
Yeah, those are crazy.
And they were like listing off the names of like all of the guys to get on the team, and I like, what are we doing? This is incredible.
We should talk about Lonigan a little bit as a villain, because I think
Yes.
it's a great performance from Robert Shaw, and I think he's super hateable. You love to see him go down.
Yeah.
You alluded to this already a little bit, but it's a little bit like Robin Hood-esque, except minus the, like, they're not giving it to the poor, they're keeping it for themselves, but they're like, get the rich, get the bad guys. You know what I mean?
Well, because you meet Redford and he's stealing money from somebody, but then you're thrilled when he's stealing money from a bad person. So then you don't have to care. You as an audience are like, yeah, I fucking get him.
Yep.
And the world tells you that everyone has to do that in this film. And the brilliance with Lonergan is he's arrogant as fuck, and he wants power. The same way that whole scene where the guy meets him when he's playing golf, and he's like, do you want to chase this guy down? And there's a moment where, you know, if Shaw could have gotten out of this whole thing,
if he backed off.
If he backed off, but instead he kind of gets himself deeper in.
Same thing is true in the poker scene, right? He's already losing. His little minion says, you didn't do that bad. The other guys are the big losers. Like, just call it a night. You don't need to get this. He goes, no, I'm getting them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good testament to like they know this guy's character and like why the hook sets so well. I also think that I liked that the little character trait Lonergan has is like he even has his own Yafala. Like he's got a thing that like sticks with you. And I every time he says it, I'm like, this guy's a bad guy.
Yeah, it's a really memorable performance. He's got that. He's got the limp. Like there's a lot of things that make him stand out as the villain. It helps a lot that the performers here are able to give such distinct and iconic performances.
Like Robert Shaw knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he's a brilliant actor, and I think there's a few textural things. Again, we've talked about this so much, and you guys just brought it up with all the characters, even all the other minor guys who are in on the grift. They're just so endlessly watchable because each of their movements feels so real. But the whole story with Lonergan, and it's like a throwaway line. It's like, you know, he's Irish, but you know what type of Irish he is. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do any of this. He just wants power. But there's a whole bit where they say, yeah, he comes from the 5 Points, which is like a slum in Manhattan at the time. But he pretends to be from Forest Hills, which was like a ritzy area at the time. It's just these little details that are like, oh yeah, this guy is a sleazebag. This guy's like a piece of shit. Like all across the board, he's just dishonest and just wants power. But Shaw just exudes that in every scene.
The concept of tricking this man to give you the money, as opposed to like any other kind of heist movie where it's like you just go in and steal the money and run away. Like this whole premise of like, this is what a grift is. Like we're not just going in and taking it and running away. Like we're psychologically fucking like we're breaking this man. We are breaking this man psychologically to give us his money.
It's so much better than robbing him.
And it feels
he's so
better.
Desperate by the end.
It feels way better.
Especially that scene, the moment where he tries, it's like the second booking and he's late to the booking.
Yes.
And they make him feel like such a piece of shit. Like Robert Redford's character comes around, is like, what happened? He's like, I was too late. He's like, Jesus Christ. And like just walks away. Like it's so good. And it's just like, you are a piece of shit.
Because we're in on it. We're part of the team as the audience. So we know they're trying to get this guy and we want him to get got. He's bad. He killed Luther. Fuck that guy.
They nailed this guy so good. Like they knew exactly how it was going to play. Even the little moments where it's just like, oh, we didn't plan for this. Let's ad lib on the fly. I love the scene where they pretend to paint the office and they're like, we got to do this outside. Yes. And it's like, oh my God. Turns out the little thing, he's like, oh, I'm going to be out. Just let him know. Like, don't take my calls for tomorrow. Dude, so good.
The only film series that I feel like remotely does anything like this is Mission Impossible. Like, this is almost like a Mission Impossible. Yeah,
I mean, it kind of is, where they're like, oh, we're not going to be able to pull this off. This is going to be really hard. You want to talk about the score too, Buck, a little bit more before we wrap on this? Because I feel like we breezed past it a little bit, and I know you're big on this one.
I mean, this score is it's Joplin tunes arranged by Marvin Hamlish. I don't think I need to say anything else. I think it's just they're beautiful arrangements that then break into brass ensembles. But then there's the score itself also has like the soundtrack has the merry-go-round theme, which is beautiful, and also Joplin. There's just so much that just reeks in this movie. And what we were saying earlier about Butch Cassidy is it's not really a suspense score.
No,
But it works. And I don't know why. I don't know why.
There's something about both of these movies, and I think the score exudes this, and the performances exude this, and the direction exudes this. They're just fun, man. They really invite you in to the hole in the wall gang and to the team of grifters to have a good time on an adventure. Maybe there's a little bit of dark existentialism at the end of Butch Cassidy, but the ride is really, really fun. And I think the score is a huge part of that feeling.
I think the scores make them feel very relatable. And I think Scott Joplin, ragtime in itself is just like incredible as a genre. It's like, it's what you guys, it's like similar notes of just like, we're here having a fun time, and like these are people you want to be around. I don't know how George Roy Hill's his other movies are like, but man, he just wants his audience in on the whole thing for both movies. Like his audience, he just loves having his audience be a part of the experience. I don't feel like it doesn't feel like he's throwing a movie in my face. It feels like we're all in on the experience for both films.
You're spot on, and I feel like filmmakers these days are afraid to take big swings with like the score. And I do think these movies both work without the score, but there's something that just ties it together. Even like in the sequence where Newman like does the Cinderella glow up, or the Princess Diaries, or Trading Places, whatever you want to call it, Pygmalion, where he like puts him in a new suit and gives him a new haircut. And it's like, you clearly have these scenes that were scripted and dialogued, but they're just like, we're going to kind of montage them and just give you the images with Joplin. But yet that serves the movie best, as opposed to it being something like, hey, what serves the adventure? What serves? They're asking other questions that I don't like in the making of the film with these scores, that I don't think filmmakers are allowed to ask in 2026.
I think it's a different time, but I absolutely love it for what it is. I have two things I wanted to highlight before we wrap up.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
One, the costume design needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
I think incredible.
You want all those
They
suits.
look so cool.
Impeccable. I think
Cool.
like the different suits and dresses and the style, like even like the background characters, like they all portray a different like image and story, and like I think it's one of those movies that reminds me like how much goes into filmmaking and how important all of these other pieces are.
The details matter, man. The details matter.
What's the name of the character who's like Newman's girlfriend, or who owns the brothel? What's that character's
Billy,
name?
I think.
Her costumes in this movie are stunning, because you see her through like 4 or 5 different outfits and attitudes, and it's just like she could be like a one-note character in another movie, to your point, or like she could dress a certain way, but it's like they have her in her robe sweeping the thing, they have her in her nightgown for when she's running the brothel, and then they have her in this like traveling outfit, and then they have her in other stuff at the end. But it's all thoughtful. It all creates the picture of what she's doing at the time. Nothing is a throwaway, and nothing feels like an accident. Spencer, what was your second point?
My last one. This is more of a bit really fast. I think Hooker in the movie has like arthritis. Would you guys pay attention to how this man like holds objects and like eats at the diner? I notice it every fucking time, and he's gangly ass hands. He's always got two or three fingers like pointed, not doing anything, serving no function. Whenever he's like he picks up a mug, I watched this man try to eat pancakes with a fork and a knife, and I've never seen someone struggle so. Like, he always has to have his fingers going in every direction except for the fucking utensil. I don't know why Robert Redford chose to do this. I don't know if it clearly was a constant because it's throughout the whole film, but good God, do I notice it every time.
I did not notice this. I'm 100% going to go look at this now.
You'll watch every...
Yeah, I have to watch it.
Look at this man pick up any object and set it back down. It's absurd.
You know what, Spencer? I can't say for sure what it was for, but I can guarantee it was part of the grift.
And there it is, folks.
I'm doing the finger nose thing.
There it is.
We don't have a video podcast.
All right. So the important moment, how do you guys want to rank The Sting against Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Above or below?
I'm gonna put it above, but I don't want that to take away from Butch. I think it's above for me because it's more fun and probably much easier, like more palpable for like introducing to someone else. But I think Butch Cassidy serves a much different purpose in message and broader filmmaking that I don't want to dismiss by like having it below.
No, yeah. Hey, listen, we like both of these movies. We're only covering stuff on the show that we really like, you know?
Yeah.
We're ranking for fun. One's got to be above. We're only doing two. We're doing a little head to head.
I'm putting The Sting above as well, but I feel the same way. It's like they're two different movies. Even though it's the same filmmakers, it's hard to rank these two. They're both fantastic. They're both excellent, but I'd probably rather watch The Sting any day of the week.
Yeah,
I think I'm with you. I'm putting it above. So easy, unanimous, rad decision. But I don't know, man. This thing is just fun. Every time I watch it, I've got a grin ear to ear.
Easily.
All right, easy, unanimous, rat opinion. So the Rats on Film, objectively, in our opinion, ranking for the collaborations of Robert Redford and Paul Newman, starting from the bottom. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and
George
the Big
Roy Hill.
Cheese, The Sting. True, yeah, true. Part of the reason that this came about was that Buck and I were too late for this, but we really wanted to do something for Robert Redford when he passed away. And then Spencer, obviously these are your two of your favorite movies. I mean, The Sting is your favorite movie, and you love Butch Cassidy as well. And I so heavily associate them with you, I couldn't possibly talk about them on the podcast without having you on it.
God,
so
I'm honored.
I'm glad that this materialized.
I think both of these movies highlight some like humanity and charisma that I really respect and look for in movies, and I love them both for that. Like just character dynamic alone.
I think both movies are perfect examples of why film is such a successful art form. And that might seem like over the top. At the end of the day, these are just two fun, really good movies. But that's why I love them.
Yeah, I love these movies. I was really looking forward to this. It was really fun to talk about them with you guys.
Thanks for having me.
We should do another one of this trio. Please,
Yeah,
can we please?
We definitely should.
Buck, this is my first episode about not kids movies.
Okay, yeah. So that was part of the other thing. Yeah. So Spencer, we started putting Spencer on the podcast. Like I finally rallied Spencer, and the first two episodes he did was fucking Mario and Pokemon. And
Got him.
Yeah, he felt pretty bad about it. So Spencer, now you're being on a Best Picture winning episode.
Dude, I'm for realsies. Let's do Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Rats on Film, everybody. Tell a friend about the show where a bunch of little rats talk about and rank movies. You can follow us, Rats on Film Pod, social media, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We'll post this list on Letterboxd. Let us know what you think of The Sting and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is your favorite. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about and rank some more movies.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.